20 years ago, a seed was planted and cared for. We painstakingly nurtured it and weathered it against adversity until one day it blossomed and the fruits of our labor began to show. Today, millions have learned, shared, and been inspired by what our community has produced. We proudly served 21 million users from 204 countries in 2019. For our 85,000 technical articles, code samples, and videos, our 450,000 forum questions, and our highly anticipated conferences and events featuring keynote panels, live streams, and industry experts and influencers. We recognize and reward members for their dedication to the community. Through content contributions and mentorships, we ranked number 2,620 in the world with a reach of millions across our social media channels. Thanks to you, our global community of software and data developers grows stronger each day. For more information, visit us at CSharpCorner.com.
Good morning and welcome back to the Growth Mindset Weekly Live Show. My name is Mahesh Chand. I'm founder of CSharpCorner. As some of you who are joining us today, if you are joining us back, you may already know that we do this show every Friday, noon Eastern Time. If you are joining us first time, welcome to the show. In this show, growth mindset is all a little bit different, even though this show focusing on, for software developers, but our focus is more about growth, personal and professional growth. And that's really what we talk about here. This show is for you. It's not for us. It's not for me. So make sure you ask your questions. It can be any kind of questions. You have questions about your job, career, community, anything about you can even ask questions about CSharpCorner, ask questions about, pandemic, anything happening around there. So feel free to post comments on, on your chat. I see people are joining from YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Welcome to the show. Put your questions, let your questions fly, and then we will answer questions. This show has a format. In first part of the show, we have a guest every week, and we talk to a guest. And then in the second half, we take your questions. Let's start with my presentation. So this hit next, Simon. This show. We have a guest, Dave. Dave is a good friend. All right, what are you doing, Simon? Just stay on the first page. Yeah. So anyway, welcome back to the show. I'm a little lost with the presentation, but we'll get this right. Today's show is season 2. We are breaking down this into season 2, and season 2 is focusing on success-driven mindset. So our focus will be success of you, your success, anybody who's watching this show. And today's our focus will be how to build a killer profile, which means your resume or online profile, or anything you're trying to go out there, or how to build even your profile even just on social media. So we are going to talk about that. As you may already know, if you are joining us from different parts of the world, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I see more people joining in. So in this show, we talk about growth mindset, but we also focus on making sure we answer your questions. If you think any of your friend, coworkers, family, anybody can benefit from this show, let them know. It's live every week, Friday. Also, please post on your social media, share it with your network, So we want to, so to grow more and so more people can benefit from it. We Before we start the show, let's talk about we have some upcoming shows and conferences. If you are not familiar on C Sharp Corner, it's csharp.live. We do show almost every day now on different topics. Check out csharp.live to see the list of shows. We also have upcoming conferences this month and next month. We have great conferences coming up. So if you look at this, there's a website we have called 202020.net where you can go and look at all these conferences. All these conferences are free. All these conferences are like last year in 2020, we end up doing 20 virtual conferences. As you can see, we just finished three conferences. We did on SQL Server Virtual Conference, we did Full Stack, we did Power Platform. Now we also did a Growth Mindset conference. Now we have a couple of more conferences coming up on public speaking. This is on April 9th. In this, what we are going to cover is how to become a public speaker. And then we have IoT virtual conference coming. So we have two conferences coming in April, and then we have more conferences coming up in following months. So check out this page, 202020.net to learn more about these conferences. On each conference also we raise money for different charity. So you can also go check out which charity is it, and if you are willing, you can just try to donate as much as you can. That's our goal with these conferences. We are raising awareness and we are raising money for these different charities. Tomorrow, this is a good news right here. Tomorrow we are launching a new show called C Sharp Corner Town Hall. Me and Simon, we have been talking about this show for a while now. But the purpose of C Sharp Corner Town Hall is we are going to cover the weekly news on C Sharp Corner, mostly tech news, mostly software development news. So if you are, you want to learn what happened this week in software development, this is the show you don't want to miss. In this show, we're also going to talk about on C Sharp Corner platform, we are launching several new features. And I think in coming rest of the 2021, every month or two, we are going to announce something major. We've been building these products and these features for a long time. Now we are going to start announcing them. In this, we're also going to cover those features. We're also going to talk about in the C Sharp Corner Town Hall show, what are we working on now? So if you want to come, join us, ask your questions, give feedback. Just come tomorrow. It's 10 a.m. Eastern, like 2 hours. Right now it's noon in Eastern time. So if you're not sure, it's 2 hours before this time. So please, I'm looking forward to joining you tomorrow here with me, and Simon will be here talking about C Sharp Corner platform and features. Next, by the way, we are hiring. C Sharp Corner is hiring. We are growing. Our team is growing because we need to build more of these features. We are going slow. If you are a C Sharp developer, we are hiring young developers. You have to be energetic. We are hiring C Sharp and .NET Core developers. We are hiring Azure architects and DevOps engineers. We are also hiring blockchain developers as well. And we are looking for 1 or 2 community managers. Community managers, their role will be to work with us on these shows, news, and other things. For this community manager role, you don't have to be technical. However, you probably is most likely to work with me and Simon and a couple of other folks, and probably also go on live show like live TV like this. So these are our upcoming hirings. If you know somebody who's looking for a job, please feel free to let them know and contact us on either social media or C Sharp Corner or anywhere you can find us. Now let's talk about today's show. Today's show is we have a guest, Dave. Dave is a good friend. He's also a managing partner at Tangent Solutions. Tangent Solutions is a South Africa based company. They build softwares and solutions and we're going to talk more about Dave on that. He's also Microsoft Regional Director. That's how I met Dave a few years back in one of the regional director summits. Uh, and he's an entrepreneur from Johannesburg, South Africa. So let's invite our today's guest, Dave. Welcome to the show. Hey, Dave.
How's it,
How are
Mahesh?
you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well.
All right. A long time no see. How's everything there in South Africa?
Yeah, no, it's going all right. We're coming out of the COVID, which is always a pleasure. And yeah, business is picking up again, and people are beginning to return to their lives. Weather's beautiful. Can't complain.
That's great. That's great. So, are you? Did you get vaccine there yet? How's the situation there? COVID situation?
We're a bit behind on the vaccine curve. Honestly, I'm only expecting to get it towards the end of the year. So
Okay.
they're rolling out now to the frontline workers. But there's many more needy people, than a healthy, young male or middle-aged male, to be honest. So
Yeah.
the advantages: South Africa's a beautiful country. So if we're stuck here, it's not the worst place in the world to be stuck.
Yeah. Hey. And I plan to visit there sometime, hopefully in near future. Um,
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, in the US here, I'm in Philadelphia. COVID situation is still not, it's still bad. It's not under control yet.
Mm.
Actually, my son, he went to play basketball in Florida. He came back on Monday. He's COVID positive. Yeah, so in my house now we have COVID. So he's in his room, kind of quarantining, and I'm trying to stay safe here.
Okay.
Well, hey, this is how it is. We'll get over this soon, hopefully. Hopefully
So
things will get better.
you got an Xbox and you're passing them pizzas under the door.
That's it. That's it. We have Xbox and pizzas being delivered every day, and through the app.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right
I
now.
don't think he's complaining too much.
Yep. All right. So Dave, on this show, growth mindset. So we launched last year. It's going well. We have people come in. The first format is first half, next 15 to 20 minutes. We'll talk about you and your tips and what you do. And then second half, we will also try to take some questions from our viewers. So anybody who's watching, just join in. Welcome to the Growth Mindset Show. This is I'm Mahesh Chand, founder of CSharpCorner. Today we have Dave Nell. He is a managing partner at Tangent Solutions. He's also Microsoft Regional Director from South Africa. Feel free to post your questions here in comments. So we will be taking your questions in the second half. So Dave, tell me about a little bit about your company. I think first thing about like what made you start your own company. How did you get into this? How there are ups and downs when you start any of your business, right? It's not that easy. It's not like okay, flip a button, leave your job that's paying well, and then you just go with it. What made you start this company? A little bit about when did you start it? Why did you start it? And how the things are going? Since
Yeah.
you started now.
So myself and a good friend of mine, Ian Roberts, it was at my second job. I'd been previously working in Cape Town. I moved up to Johannesburg so I could do my master's. Ian was quite an entrepreneurial guy. He'd been building websites since he was in university and selling the websites, and he needed some technical support. And over the years, him and I just sort of started working together, and it built its own momentum. I mean, I'd moved on a couple of times from company to company, and I just wasn't finding my place. The world wasn't quite feeling right for me. And, all in the while I was getting some really good consulting experience, this little business was just growing up. And one day we got a nice opportunity, and Ian and I had a good sit down and said, this is something we can really do. And and that's how we started. First year in a little dinky room, sort of 3x2, just the two of us. And then we hired our first employee 1 year later, and it's been pretty solid growth since then.
Yeah, I watch your updates on your social media, especially LinkedIn. Looks like you're growing pretty good now. How big are you now?
So last year we merged with another company by the name of Juramani. So collectively, the company is just shy of 600. And my division, which is Tangent Solutions, is about 160 now. So
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think I remember when we met at Microsoft Regional Director Summit that you were small. You were very small.
Yeah, no, I mean we've grown quite a bit and we've diversified nicely. I mean it's just such a interesting journey. I love the story of how we started to going to cloud. We had no intention to go to cloud, and this was 2010. Cloud wasn't really a thing. And in our first 6 months of operating in our little dinky office, we were burgled 3 times and lost our servers 3 times. And then we just said, never again will we have servers. And that's how our cloud journey started. So it's just a sort of crazy twist of events. And we've pivoted and journeyed and made some good choices and some bad. But I think we're generally doing the right things right now.
So you were forced to move to cloud.
Pretty much, which I think is where everyone is now. But no, pretty much that was it. We just got tired of having to worry. And what is quite interesting is that is one of the key things about moving to cloud is the backup and disaster recovery. You don't have to stress about it.
Yeah. Funny thing is in December this year, last year 2020 December, we've been hosting the CSharpCorner website platform is hosted with Rackspace. And in December, we got attacked by this WannaCry where all files were encrypted and they were asking for Bitcoin. And then we were lucky again. We were again then forced to move to Azure, and hopefully, that this is it. no more disaster problems. And I'm still talk to them. It's been so long, and they're like, oh, we can't really do anything about it because backup wasn't successful and so many other problems. And funny thing is, they're still trying to charge me every month, and I'm still like, this is just a mess.
No, it's a crazy situation to be solving, and what at least is quite interesting now is that the fact that our customers and the world, if you look at the positive effects of COVID, if you can possibly say such a terrible time and terrible event can have positivity, but has been that digitalization and people realizing that critical business events are real things. It's not just some professor standing on a stage talking about risks your company needs to manage. These things are real. And businesses need to prepare for them, and we as consultants and suppliers need to help them to transform.
Yeah, it's just not a business sales pitch like move to cloud. Agree. Yep. And so that's great. So with your company's growth, if sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you have plans, sometimes you have strategy. What is that, if you have to share a couple of your factors that made you grow in the past couple of 3 years? What are those things, if you have to mention, and share some of them?
I think it's over the last couple of years, it's been quite an interesting journey because we've been managing the merger. But I think if I was just to look at that one specifically, is always to think of people first. And people are at the heart of a business, and always focus on that. And if you support the people around you, they will support you in turn. So I think you need to be very conscious of handling everything with dignity and sensitivity, and just being conscious of the events around you. I think that's one of the things that differentiates managers and leaders is that empathy for those around them. I think another thing is there's nothing wrong with pivoting and learning, and we're going to make some bad choices, and I think the point there is to pivot quickly and to not be inflated by your own ego. And I think that's a challenging thing that one can be, especially as in business, and you're succeeding and the world's your oyster. And you can also often see that with the sort of your architect level developers. where, they've kind of reached the pinnacle and, everyone's trying to employ them. You get that ego that just says, yeah, I'm generally right most of the time. And I think it's just about keeping yourself humble. And so you recognize your biases and recognize when you're failing and you need to make a turn. And sometimes you back the wrong horse, and that's fine. And you learn a lesson, do a retrospective on it, made a bad choice there, learned, keep going, and you're stronger for the lesson learned.
Yeah. And I think, well said. I think people first, I think I like that definitely. If you are a leader, you're trying to start your business, that's a good point to make. Also, if you are a senior guy, which I dealt, that's one of the reason. One of the reasons CSharpCorner I start doing my own consulting rather than working for these companies, because you work for these large corporations and there's this guy, he's obviously senior, he has experience, but he can't get out of his own way. He doesn't want to learn new things. He thinks his way is the right way. And all of us get into that situation from time to time that, whoa, I'm the guy, I know everything. And then realize that things are changing so fast because you were doing, 10 years ago, you were building something, doesn't mean it's same thing. Yeah. So be open about learning new things. That's the key. Good point here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the nice things of the byproducts of the technologies that we work with right now is that need for adaptation. And I'm a firm believer that technology doesn't exist in a vacuum. So, technology as culture, technology brings people change. And, when we move in these fast-paced environments like the technologies that we speak about in CSharpCorner, it changes your mindset. You begin to embrace the agility, the transformative approach to doing things. You understand that I don't need to run on servers anymore. I can go to serverless or distributed compute. You begin to experiment. And I think that's what, especially over this difficult period, is that we're seeing the businesses that were ready to experiment and to be agile were the ones that succeeded or managed to come out of this difficult time swinging, versus the ones that were sitting on their laurels and saying, this is how the world is, were the ones that were beaten and are having to recover, and they're on the back foot now.
Yep, and I think adaptability is the key. And you see even like these days, larger corporations, look at IBM. They were the innovators, then they lagged behind, and it's trying to catch up with cloud now, right? You saw Microsoft used to be a big giant, and they pivot and they change a lot in recent years, and look at them now, right?
And I think that such as pushed so hard in that transformation was empathy. And I think if we were to say, how do you build your profile? It's one thing to have certifications and degrees and all that stuff, but your profile is also the people that you know. And having that empathy to your community and those around you and your customers builds network and makes you as a profile more interesting.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And everybody who's joining us, welcome Pradeep. I see Sean joining from Philadelphia, Deepak joining from India. Welcome everybody joining from different places. We are talking to Malaysia. We got a message from Malaysia. We are talking to Dave here. He runs his own business company in South Africa, Johannesburg, and he's also Microsoft Regional Director. In second half, we are going to focus more on how to build your profile. This first half, we are focusing, just talking general. So Dave, I know you are a Microsoft Regional Director. I was a Microsoft Regional Director last year. You want to tell people about a little bit on what Microsoft Regional Director is, what they do, and what's the purpose, and what are your benefits also?
I think first off, it's no employment association to Microsoft. That's one of the tricky things about the name. Yeah. But effectively, it is someone who's at a director level in a business in the region that basically has a relationship with Microsoft within their region, as well as the technical teams and the culture teams, product teams in Seattle. We are community leaders in our own rights. That means that we actively participate and support community in our regions. You generally tend to be a Microsoft partner, or at least a Microsoft partner of some renown as well. And then, the big point there is to drive the Microsoft messaging around the technologies, obviously from your communities, to continue to evangelize it and speak about it, because we're all very passionate about it, as well as then to take our insights as business people, as entrepreneurs, and as technologists, and speak to Microsoft about how we see the world, how we experience their products, how our customers experience their products, how we experience the partner ecosystem. So it's kind of like a external trusted advisor to Microsoft, and I mean, it's an amazing community of extremely gifted people. Yourself, it was such an experience to meet you. You constantly wrestle with imposter syndrome, which is, one of the nice things about being in that community.
Yeah, I agree. And it's again, a lot of people get confused that this is not a full-time job. You don't get paid for it. It's
No.
again, it's still a similar to Microsoft MVP, but different kind of title and job roles there is. It's just still a community driven kind of role with Microsoft.
Yeah.
You get to meet a lot of great people. You get to talk to a lot of amazing people at Microsoft, senior leadership. That's the best part about it, is that you can go reach out to anybody, and partnerships, and also speaking engagements. And there's a Microsoft MVP summit coming up this coming week. And I believe there is one day is dedicated to our regional directors, RDs.
Yes. So we tend to have our own little summit off the back of that, and that just sort of, emphasizes the difference between regional directors and MVPs, where MVP is the depth of technical versus an RD is more of a breadth conversation. So the RD summit itself is both a technical conversation as well as just a world understanding and then business and partner conversation, and sharing those insights and experiences with Microsoft. It's a phenomenal experience.
All right. Yep. So before we take a break in a few minutes, let me ask one more question. As your company and yourself, what are the different technologies you are right now focusing on? One is obviously based on your client needs. That's obviously we have to do as a business owners. And then beside that, what are you doing your own? Like, okay, this is what something is probably you should bet in for the future.
Yeah, I think we're seeing. I know a lot of people have been pushing the DevOps thing. I beat that drum about as loudly as it possibly can be beaten. But it's not just CI/CD. We've got to go to what really is DevOps, which is the whole thing, the toot and caboot. So where we're investing is about what does that value stream look like, and that's where I'm putting my research right now. Value stream mapping, value stream optimization, change management, and really getting the DevOps. Because in my opinion, without DevOps, you don't have agility. It's not even a conversation on the table. And it's data. Now is the time of data as well. I think there's an interesting transition that's happening of technical developers as our ability to deliver compute and applications into the world has sped up. The ability, we're generating a lot more data, and the need to understand that data is really tangible. That I'm seeing businesses, smallish businesses that are understanding the fact that their world is made by data, and they need to get the insights into that data. So bets that I'd be making right now is around DevOps, SRE, as well as data analytics and data rendering.
Great. So there you go. So we have, and there's obviously you said DevOps, and I agree. DevOps is these days just not just deploying automatic in cloud. It's really everything, like build in the cloud, test in the cloud, deploy in the cloud, deploy on different, dev and and then also run in the cloud, right? And then do all your diagnostic, logging, feedback, and everything is there. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And and again, it's like I said earlier, it says technology doesn't exist in a vacuum. So just that nature of running in the cloud and that speed of delivery changes the way people work, changes the way businesses work. And that's really exciting. I really enjoy the fact that now that we can give back to the business with our monitoring, we can give them data that they can make actual data-driven decisions, as opposed to some executive whose left pinky toe is twinkling and therefore we are now building this. We can actually say to them, no, that's not what we're building this because this is what the data says and this is what's actually going on. I think that's just awesome.
All right, great. So this everybody who's watching us, welcome to the show. Today we're talking about different things, and now the second half of this show we are going to talk about how to build your profile as a software developer, as a software professional, or if you are involved somehow in any way in IT. How do you build your profile? How people see you? Where people find you, and all that. So we're going to share I'm here with Dave. In second half of the show, we're going to share some of those tips. And if you have any questions, just feel free to post in the comment. In the second half, we are going to take these comments and answer live as much as we can in the time. So we are going to now take a 2-minute break, and we will be back in 2 minutes. And I'll see you, Dave, in 2 minutes.
Cool.
COVID makes us feel like this, and work from home like this. But what if work looked like this? With a leader like this, and a payday that feels like this. Learn how to change your mind and your mindset with the Growth Mindset Show every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Here at Mindcracker, we create artificial, virtual, and mixed reality games and apps, voice-enabled skills and apps, and intelligent apps, and integrate AI with IoT products. We offer advisory services for innovations and startups. We provide cloud and code security and performance services. We also offer AI/ML blockchain development, consulting, and training. Just visit www.mindcracker.us to make your dreams into a reality. Hey guys! Can't believe we haven't seen each other since graduation in May. What's going on?
Not much. With the pandemic, I can't really do anything right now.
Me too. I mostly just stay at home, hang out with my dog, and watch the news.
I feel you. Have you guys been able to get jobs yet?
Funny that you ask. Carrie and I actually have been working on something together.
Yeah, we came up with an idea for a startup that's an app that will help us stay active since we both have been sitting around so much during this quarantine.
That's genius. I could definitely use something like that. When are you guys launching it?
Well, that's the issue. We don't really know how to build it, so we're kind of stuck.
I know of this company that does startup advising if you guys are interested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're called Mindcracker, and they'll help you validate your idea and connect you with angel investors and help you build everything from your product MVP to your technical team and even your go-to market planning and execution.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you know how we could get in touch with them?
Yeah, you can just visit their website, mindcracker.us.
That's awesome, May. Thanks. I'm excited to get started on this.
Of course. Good luck, guys, and let's talk soon.
Thanks, May.
All right, we're back here in the Growth Mindset Studio. I am here with Dave now. Dave is, you're a leader in your own world. You started a company. We are talking about growth mindset. We're talking about how to build a great profile. So let's talk about that a little bit here. Like David, all people who are watching this show are mostly software professionals, right? They may be some are mostly programmers, then some maybe in testing, some maybe in DevOps, some maybe in cloud, and so on and so forth. So if they have to build a profile, obviously, what are some of the tips you would like to share? And then I want to break down those a little bit those tips, and I spend more time so our viewers who are watching us they can benefit from it.
Yeah, I think the first thing to build a great profile is, to be able to present a great profile is to have built a great profile. And that really makes that you need to make some investments and some choices about yourself, what you think is right for you, and what you're most passionate in. If we look at what's going on in the online education and how our vendors approach education, there's a lot of ways that one can learn. So in terms of your skill development, one really doesn't have too many excuses not to have an appropriate list of technologies that you can present and a diverse range, as well as the certifications to back those skills. The certifications aren't necessary, but they do help if you're looking at a sort of a quick scan view. So my view is education is an absolute must in any developers or in any technical person's life, regardless of where you're specializing. It's an ongoing journey for technologists today, and we have to stay current. If you're staying current, you're going to have a great profile. It's regardless of, whether you're picking up pieces of paper along the way, your technologies will speak for themselves. I think that's one of the biggest tips I can give anyone. And, me as an employer, if I pick up a CV and someone's from, say, a good financial institution, and if that technology hasn't been moving and that person's stack is old, and there's really no excuse, you pretty much put the story down pretty quickly.
That's definitely a great point. So upgrading yourself to the latest tech is probably it's learning, right? It's learning has to be a part of this. So let's put that at tip number one is continuous learning. You have to continue learning what's up out there, what's new out there now. And definitely if you can get certified on that, because there's so many online courses there, and most of them are actually even free these days. You can go to Azure or AWS and all that and take certifications. There may be a little bit cost here and there, but you can just learn everything there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you want to see is someone who's passionate about technology. That in a profile it just jumps out at you. If someone's doing this just because they're putting food on the table, which is a fair enough choice, but I want to employ the guys that are passionate about technology, that want to transform the world, and that investment in yourself will speak. It will pop out. And us as employers and senior people they're making these decisions, and if you're looking for investment in your startups, that is visible. It's an incredibly tangible thing on any profile. And I think that is one of the biggest things.
So that kind of adds a tip number two. Like, you have to be self-starter or motivated yourself, right? That's kind of pretty much, you just added a second tip. And I think one question I have is that, say you're working in a company and you're working on an old product or project where your company is not really upgrading to new, technologies or new, for example, some of the, people may be working in supporting a large project. So how those guys or girls can get into the learning new technology? How can they motivate themselves?
I think it's one of those things where, if you can have a conversation with yourself and sort of say, this is not what I want to be doing, or then you're going to make those conscious choices to start making change. If you don't have the exposure that's in your workplace, that's fine. Go into, any number of sites, CSharpCorner being a great place, and see what people are talking about, go on to online communities, go to community meetups and just get an understanding of what's going on, and start learning from there and start trying to implement change. I mean, if you want to change yourself, you have to change the things around you as well. So no company is going to particularly have too many complaints if you start bringing unit tests into an environment to make it more resilient. No one's going to say, stop, don't do that. Because you're bringing positive change. You're not just standing on a corner, getting onto a chair and saying, I don't want to do this, I want to do something else. You're saying, no, I want to do something else, and this is how it's going to benefit the company, and this is how we're going to do that, and then you're going to get the buy-in. So I think there's always, in those situations, I often say to my guys, in a relationship between an employer and an employee, there's a push and a pull. There's a responsibility on the side of the employer to make life interesting for the employee, but then there's also a responsibility on the employee side is to be interested. And I remember a few years ago, this one old guy I was talking to said, in order to be interesting, you have to be interested.
Good
and
point.
I think that's such a powerful point.
Yeah, definitely. So tip number 3, I think this is good. You just decided you got to involve in community. If your company is not promoting or helping you, or does not have a program for learning and educating its employees, which happens sometimes, and actually most of the time it happens that company, they don't have enough programs for their employees. So the way you would do is get involved in community. And community these days, they're not in person. There's so many online communities like we are doing right now. CSharpCorner, LinkedIn, Microsoft has it. There's so many communities out there. Get involved in any of those. See what's the trends are, what everybody's learning, where the jobs are. Start learning. And as you said, if you take that learning and even share with your groups, your teams, and in your company, chances are your company will also recognize you as one of the leaders. And that will kind of also help you not just build your profile, it will also help you move probably higher in the chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the nice community events that we participated in, or some of my teams did, it's again, very similar thing. And as a company, our investment in AI and ML is pretty low right now. And there was a hackathon organized by Microsoft, massive online story. They gave the learning material, they gave sample data for people to learn with, and then they put a nice prize together. And then also, if you couldn't form your own team, you would be put together with other people from across the world to become a team to do an idea. And I mean, that's something that anyone can do. You don't need to be taken there. That's something, just being aware of it, watching out for it, and participating in good faith and having fun.
All right, that's great. So we just learned several tips here, guys. And girls, you're watching, if you have any questions, how to get involved in communities, how to build your profile, all that thing, just post your questions. We're going to start taking questions once I'm done with my questions. Then we will take your questions. So that's great. So we just learned that, okay, you got to start learning something new, learning what's trending out there. You got to get involved with the community. You got to also start, taking kind of leadership roles in your company. Now let's talk about social media, right? Social media plays a major role in today's world, right? I'm sure when you hire anybody, you probably check them online. You look at the LinkedIn, and what do you, as an employer, right? As an employer, when you are hiring somebody, how impactful is social media, and what do you do with the social media? And then my third part will be what these, our audience, they can learn and do to make their profile better. I know it's a long question.
No. It's a very good question. I think a lot of people need to realize the importance of social media, both as a tool to build your profile and a risk to destroy your profile at the same time. So it's a double-edged sword, and I think everyone needs to be aware of that. From a building perspective, what I'd really like to see is guys where they're participating on having chats about tech, forums that they're interested in, sharing pieces of insight that they find are interesting. You're really looking for someone, again, who's interested in what's going on around them, but not only interested, but has an opinion. It's one thing to, just retweet or reshare or whatever constantly, and that's great. You're sharing content, you're making people aware, but also, where's your opinion in that? Did you say anything insightful? You read an article which is maybe on point about Python, but you know what? You don't necessarily agree with some of those points. And, it's your opportunity to add commentary to that. And I think by participating more actively, you will also then help to build a profile in that social media world where you're driving the thing that you want to do, which is to build a profile and make people see that you're interested and knowledgeable as well. On the other side of things, just exercise caution. The same way I'm looking at your social media to see the good things about your interests and your technology. Let's just keep it clean.
Yeah. So with the keep it clean, that's important, right? Because we are people, right? We have a personal preferences. Either it's politics, or is it a society, or it's a animals, or whatever it is. Um, that's kind of hard to do. What advice you give to people who are watching that? How do you separate your personal life with professional life? Because if I'm employer and I'm hiring, I'm going to go check out your Facebook, I'm going to check out your Twitter, I'm going to check out your resume, I'm going to check out your LinkedIn. And I know people just post anything and everything on some of these platforms.
Yeah, and I think there's the fact that it's you have to recognize that it's a public platform, and once it's out there, it's out there. And therefore you should exercise some level of reasonableness. I think we all hope that people are reasonable and decent in general. And I think it's just a case of if you're going to participate in conversations that aren't and shouldn't be spoken about in public, one, you probably shouldn't be having those conversations. But two is protect your privacy. Privacy is an important part of social media these days, as it is public. But I think it's just a case of, take it as you are speaking in public. It might not seem like you're in public, but you are in public. And, you don't go and scream at someone about whether they think a t-shirt is blue or red in public, and therefore you shouldn't be doing it on social media either.
Yeah, and I agree. I think I agree. And I was talking to somebody like this. You're posting online is like your karma. Once it's posted, it's done. You cannot remove it. Somebody's going to have it, some copy somewhere on some server. It's just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things. Is one of my friends? He's an MVP. Who's works for me, Alistair Fusion. He says the rules of five. So if you're in a conversation and things are getting lively, stop and have a pause and say, if I'm going to say this, would I say the same thing in 5 seconds, 5 hours, and then 5 days? And if that is true, then yes, maybe say it. But just having that pause to examine yourself cools the mind, removes a bit of the emotion, and then also sees, am I just responding in emotion? Or if I slow this down, can I actually constructively reply or critically reply as opposed to aggressively or emotionally? And that's the sort of stuff you also want to see if you're looking at a social media. You want to see someone that can handle the pressure, isn't going to be toxic when put under pressure, because we can be. And as we grow as companies and evolve into more modern companies, we really are incredibly conscious of the cultures that we want and that we believe in. And if you're losing your cool, it's not the type of person that you want in your company, because everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity, even if you don't agree with them.
Yep. Good point. Now, we know networking plays a major role in profile, right? And there's a fact in the US, there was a study done that 92% of people are hired based on their relationships. That's a big number. Like if you are just sending your resume, only 8% people are hired if you don't have a relationship, right? That's a big number. I mean, number may change a little bit here and there, but when I was doing a research on, it's a 92% people are hired depending on who you know. And that's all about networking. So you want to talk about a little bit how important networking is and what, people can do to, build their profile or better network out there in professional world?
Yeah, no, I think networking is something which I believe incredibly strongly. It's done well for me in my personal profile, my personal brand, and business as well. A lot of the business that we get is word of mouth, and I think that just sort of evidences the importance of knowing people and networking. I think one of the biggest things that especially a lot of young people will struggle with is actually just communicating in general. So it is something that you have to work at. You know, if you are shy, unfortunately, that's not an acceptable excuse anymore. You need to. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert or being a bit shy, and no one's asking you to become aggressive and opinionated or anything like that. But you have to be in a position that you can voice your opinion, and do so without any concern. So often I say to my young guys, say something. I don't care what you say. If you're going to talk about the weather, talk about the weather. If you want to talk about the cricket, we talk about cricket for 30 seconds, and then we get back to the meeting. But at least you've gone to that practice of actually speaking up. Then you'll find that increasingly you don't mind speaking. So you will, if you're hesitant of going up to people at community events or going talking to a more senior person, force yourself to do it. And even if you bungle it, it's fine. You've broken the ice. It will get better, and you will get better because you'll get more confidence and you'll get more practice and you'll understand how to have a conversation quickly, to get a value proposition across, how to keep someone engaged, how to communicate with them. But you have to do it. No one's going to teach you other than, well, you can be taught the skills, obviously, but experience is something that you have to put into effect. And there's small wins, but the trick is to just do it and put yourself into places where networking can happen. That is community events, that is conferences, that is communities of partner people or of business societies. So again, find places where you can meet people and then go ask questions. If someone asked an interesting question at a community event, go chat to them, find out what they're doing in their job, where they're placed and who they're working for. Immediately you're gaining interesting information. So, you know, when we say 92% of people are hired because of a relationship, you know, there also are second and third tier relationships. So I might not know Bob directly, but Bob knows Joe and I know Joe very well, and therefore I've got, you know, a second tier relationship, which is now in my favor. So again, it's just about getting out there, speaking, understanding, and engaging respectfully. And then again, if the more you know, you go back to our first point, which is about knowledge. The more you know, the more you can engage, the more people want to engage with you. So all of these things become a synergistic circle of building your profile as a brand, as well as just as a, as a brand really is what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, get your name out there. And I think so. There's two things. You know, I was doing again. I do a lot of reading, research, and all that. And there is a research done is that when first time you meet somebody or you talk to somebody or you see somebody, and you're trying to either get hired or trying to tell what you are, other person is thinking like, first thing they think of is, can I trust this guy? They don't look at how great a skill you have. They don't look at how many certifications you have. All they ask question is that, can I trust this guy? Because that's the first question every brain thinks of on the other side. And the trust, to me, it comes from, again, building your profile, building out there, show what you are, and all those combined, and how other people are talking about you, right? You know, you can talk about you, how great you are, but that's not, nobody cares. Other people have to actually talk about you, how great you are. That's how people trust you, right? That's
exactly.
So you said it good. You know, you go, I think first thing is communication. First thing I like you have to at least say, if you have any questions, there's no bad question, just ask or talk about it, right? And then that's how you open up, and that's how you start with it. And then second point I was going to make is when you are in public, when you are, I mean, obviously these days we are not in public, but somebody said it, I think there was a book I read, it said that half of the success is just be there. In other words, right, you know, me, like I'm same way. In the beginning of my days, I'm like on computer a lot, writing code and thinking like work will come to me, or thinking like, you know, success will come to me. But point is, success will not come to you. You have to be there. You have to go there. You have to go get there. And there's a guy in Philadelphia, he wrote something like, you're not going to get anything if you're just sitting on your couch doing whatever work you think you're doing. You have to go out and meet there. So, and back to your networking is that you have to go there. You have to go meet people. You have to build friendships. It's a investment. It's like any other, you know, same thing with if you are trying to, you know, young people all the time come and like, oh, I did this certification, I can't find a job. So with that, let me go to my next point, right? Now my next point is, um, out of sudden I will get text message or call or email like, I just lost my job, can you help me? And
Mm.
I tell them, guys, this is like guys and girls, this is not something like a, we get sick, we go to doctor, and doctor says, oh, you better start taking care of yourself. Then we start taking care of ourselves. If we start doing exercise and eat good in the beginning, chances are we will not get sick. You want to add something to that, like rather than looking for a job when you lost the job, how they can continue, being still in the discussion of having some jobs lined up to them.
No, absolutely, and I think it comes down to, again, are you moving with the times? Many people become very successful doing very good jobs, very solid jobs, and then you have a critical event. No one could have predicted it, and suddenly the situation that you thought you're going to be retiring in has changed fundamentally, and then you stop, and you don't have skills that the market wants to buy because the company that you were just employed by is gone, or they've had to shrink massively. So now you have to start from day zero and you don't even know where to start. So I think it really comes down to always be tradable. If you're always tradable, but you're never trading yourself, that's also fine because you are managing that risk. You're also going to be, look, to be honest, if you're continuously investing in yourself, you're going to be trading yourself upwards in your current company, but always be considered tradable, I think is such an important part. When one gets to management levels, don't stop and say, no, I don't need to learn anymore. I'm just doing people or whatever. There is an endless amount of management methodologies and people science and psychological things and methodologies that you should be pursuing and continue to push yourself in that growth. So just because you're out of technical doesn't mean your growth challenges have now stopped. You have to keep continuing to investing. And also, again, from the technical perspective, don't just beat the drum of technical. If you're a developer, do you know Scrum? Have you thought about becoming a certified Scrum Master? Not only is that going to be good for your career as a developer, because you'll be a better performing developer. If you want to make a fork in your career, you've got that choice. If a terrible situation happens, like you lose your job as a developer, you've got more options available. So investing in breadth, not only depth, is also quite important. And that breadth will only add to your career as well. There's no possible way that sort of investment would ever be wasted.
Well, I didn't even realize we are running out of time soon. Like, there's literally 2 minutes left. This is great. I think this is a great conversation and probably need more longer discussion on these topics. So with the last, let's just take one more, we'll have one more point because, we won't have time to even take any questions. I don't think we have too many anyway. If you have to give one advice to a developer who's a young developer or a senior, or doesn't matter, what would be the one advice where they can, build a great profile or even get a better position or job or move up in their current company?
I think it's about looking to the future and making those choices. What are you passionate in? It's not, if it's no good to be doing things that you don't like. If you enjoy something, move towards it and you will succeed. But then invest properly. Make those choices. I literally had a conversation today with one of my guys where there's such potential in the guy, and I just wasn't happy. I said, look, you need to start making choices about your career. Where are you going? What's interesting? Where do you want to go? How are we going to make you realize that your potential that is so obvious? So not everyone's going to have that conversation with you. So how are you going to realize that? You have to make the conscious choice to move forward and to get that motion forward and to start making your own future. And as soon as you start doing that, the world opens up. You got options. You can create change. But if you're not moving, change is going to happen to you, and probably not in the best way.
Well, that was great advice, and I think we are kind of out of time now. This is exactly one. We tried to close this one, but I would love to have you back, Dave. This was great advice, and hopefully we'll meet again soon in person. Hopefully, once this COVID is gone.
Yeah, no, and thanks for having me. And it was a great chat. And yeah, hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everybody who joined us today. Hopefully, you enjoyed this session. Hopefully, you learned something from it, and hopefully now you can go take these tips and you can again go watch if you missed some of the part of this video and this live show. This is recorded. It's going to be live on csharp.live, C Sharp Corner YouTube. It's available there also. Just go watch it later, and hopefully these practical tips, I would say, these are actually from our live real experiences we've been doing for past 20 to 25 years. You and I, we shared here, right? And hopefully, you learn something from it, and hopefully, we'll see your great profile. Now, again, one more thing if I have to add: not just learn, just go and write about it, talk about it, show people what you know publicly, because you may be the greatest developer in the world, but if you don't talk about it, you don't speak about it, you don't go in any shows or anything, you can't build your profile. You agree with that?
Yeah, and we've got a saying here that we call it, you're singing Pavarotti in the shower. Doesn't help.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you have to actually sing publicly, get on the stage.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Dave, thank you so much. That was a great show. Everybody, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week, same time, 12 noon Eastern.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Mahesh.
Thank you.